Every day I get on here and I talk about how crazy the NBA offseason has been already. And every day something else happens that I had no thought about happening at all, as the Portland Trailblazers have just made a trade to acquire Ja Morant for Jerami Grant and Kris Murray. They're going back to the Memphis Grizzlies. This is not just a small move. This is not just a minor roster adjustment. This is a franchise swing for Portland, hoping that they're going to actually do something that Memphis couldn't do and get Ja to be back looking like the all-star. We're going to talk about what this means for both teams and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBAC.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast. My name is Haize, and more importantly, make sure you guys follow the channel and hit that subscribe button, man. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. In exchange for that, I'll be bringing you guys the latest breaking news, the best daily analysis, everything going on around the NBA, and all in one spot. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it. So this one just got dropped not too long ago. Shams reported that the Portland Trailblazers are acquiring Ja Morant for Kris Murray and Jerami Grant. Now, we knew that the Portland Trailblazers were looking to do something with Jerami Grant's contract, and it made sense there. Kris Murray is a player that's interesting enough, right? I still think has tons of upside, but there's just no doubt about it that it has not, for whatever reasons, whatever's going on, has not come out the best in Portland. He's not had the same kind of upside that his brother once had. And last season, he only averaged 5.8 points per game. He played in 57 games, started 15 of those. And so now they move off a player like that Memphis is hoping that they can, at 25 years old, still turn around his career as he heads into his fourth year. But let's talk about what this means for both sides, right? Ja Morant, is this a home run or is this a high-risk gamble? Let's talk about the side that they could win. For those that are new to the channel, we talk about both sides of every argument. So I'm going to cover it all. It keeps me honest as a solo content creator, and it keeps the conversation layered. But the side that Portland just won big, Ja Morant gives the Portland Trailblazers somebody that has true star-level potential, right? That's what Ja Morant has been. He has been a star at times. We're only 3 years removed from people saying that he could be the next face of the league or asking that question if that was going to happen. Now, between his performance play and guys like Wemby coming into the league, that conversation I don't think is ever going to truly get back to that level. But this is a guy that even last year, with 41% shooting from the field and 23% shooting from three, still averaged 19.5 points per game. When you look at Ja and what he was at the height, the 27 points, the 26 points, on decent enough efficiency at 49 and 46%, we know what Ja Morant is capable of. And what they are hoping for is that it changes scenery at only 26 years old still, and he turns 27 in August, so in a couple of months before the start of the season. At 27, that there's still a lot. He's supposed to be in what's the prime of his career. And so now, if you can get Ja Morant to lock in on a younger core, a new coach, a new organization, and a completely new outlook, if you can get Ja Morant to lock in on that, you have somebody that is a star that could potentially come to your team, and you have him now on a 2-year contract. He has 2 more years left on that deal, $42 million next season, $44 million a year after that. So you still have some time there. Now, could Ja Morant want an extension at this time next year? That's very possible. He could want that. You could have to make that decision. But when you look at the downhill pressure that Ja Morant is able to be there, when he's locked in, this is a guy that is drawing, he's alluring, you can build the offense around him. And with the price of just Jerami Grant and Kris Murray, this feels extremely manageable, and you're adding to your core so much that, hey, it's solid there. Now, of course, this adds a little confusion in that. We'll talk about that in a second. But so at that point, you're not just betting on a swing of somebody that you hope is going to turn into a star. You're betting on a swing of somebody who has shown that they can be a star before. It's just been a few years since we've seen it, but it's still risky, right? With Ja, the availability has gotten worse every single year. You look at 61 games played in 2022-23, 9 played in 2023-24 because of injury, then 50 games played, and then 20 games played last season. So the availability question there is a legitimate one. The maturity question is a legitimate one. The long-term trust there is a legitimate one. But Portland building the right structure around him and having players around him that I won't say it's the most seamless fit, because now you have Ja, you have Dame, you have Scoot there, right? You still got Shaedon Sharpe in the building who you could look to move to make another deal. You got all these other things that you're asking questions about. Who's going to be the lead guard, right? Is it going to go right into that? Because if it is Ja, it reshapes everybody else's role around what Ja can do. The Portland Trailblazers cannot treat this like the final move. You still need to find balance to this, and we'll see. Off court, injury concerns, they're going to continue with him, or if they continue with him, this could end up being a dangerous bet, but you still didn't pay a super huge price, so I understand it. Portland had to take a swing. They wanted to take a swing eventually this offseason. They now have done it. The question now becomes, does Ja Morant become the star that speeds up and accelerates this rebuild, or is he a gamble that ends up complicating it in the long run? Now let's look at it from the side of Memphis, right? Did Memphis get enough back for Ja Morant? They had to move on. The writing was on the wall. They had to move on from Ja Morant. I'd heard that, that they didn't want him to come to training camp, and by then they would take whatever the best offer is. They go ahead and take the offer now before free agency starts. It's going to allow them to kind of decide what they want to do in there, and it gives Portland time as well to decide what they're going to do. But Memphis had to move on. Jerami Grant gives them a veteran forward who can score, defend, and fit into multiple lineups. They can also flip him later down the road in another deal for a team that needs that scoring punch, as Memphis is in a rebuild. And Kris Murray gives them a younger developmental piece that they can try to take a look at and see if there's anything there that's salvageable with that 25-year-old player. And now you get that clean locker room reset that you wanted. This deal accomplishes that, and the Grizzlies now are focusing on stability in their franchise than anything else. Now, there's a side of this that you could ask. Did Memphis sell too low, right? He's a two-time All-Star, a franchise-level talent. Jerami Grant and Kris Murray are not going to be the headlines that you can sell anything with, right? But, if the fans in Memphis were ready to move on, then so be it, right? Memphis may have just traded its most dynamic player, one of the most dynamic players in franchise history, and they got no centerpiece back, no draft picks back, nothing. And if Ja does end up going on to thrive in Portland, man, this deal is going to age terribly. But I will say this. They got it done, right? And, while it may be hard for some to defend the return, at the end of the day, with no picks attached, Grizzly fans got to ask, was this really the best offer? And I guess we'll find out the answer to that in the long run. But now the question shifts back to Portland. What does this mean for Portland's offense, right? I think this. Ja gives Portland elite rim pressure. He's going to be able to do that. He creates easier looks for players that play with him when he's locked in. His attacking in transition is going to help this team. And he does give Portland potentially a late game creator, which they have not had there in a while. They try to make Denny Advia that, right? And so if he gets back to that star level play, it makes everything so cleaner. The fit is still a little bit of a question, right? The ball handling hierarchy, they're going to have to figure that out if another move doesn't come. Ja's defense and decision making is going to matter late in close games, and sometimes that can ebb and flow. And I do think with a roster that already lacks spacing, the offense can get pretty crowded, and you've done nothing to really solve that. That's why this does feel like another move has to be coming down the pipeline for Portland sooner rather than later, and we'll see, right? We'll see what's going to happen in regards to that one. I think Portland is, they got something that every team wants, and that's somebody who can put pressure on the defense. The next question about is how do you create enough spacing to be able to maximize on that pressure that Ja Morant is naturally going to bring to this team? And then the side of Memphis Grizzlies, the last question that's left is what do you do with Jerami Grant? I think that if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm looking to flip Jerami Grant immediately. Ideally, if you can find another team, and even if before this trade's finalized, because it won't be able to be finalized until July 6th, before this trade is finalized, if you can find a way to make this a three-team trade where you reroute Jerami Grant to another team and get assets or whatever back, that gets you great. Now, Jerami Grant can play off the ball. He fits more with a defensive-minded, kind of well-balanced system. And the professionalism that he has displayed over the course of his career could be something that the Memphis Grizzlies do want, even with younger players on the roster. But Jerami Grant isn't enough to really do anything, right? He's not a franchise centerpiece. His contract and age, don't match the reset and direction of this team. And that's why I think, Jerami Grant is a perfectly fine player, right? He's not a great player. He's a perfectly fine player. And so the issue is not him as a player. The issue is what happens now, because I think you have to reroute Jerami Grant to a different team, in my personal opinion. And then lastly, who won this trade, right? Let's look at this and say, Portland landed the best player in the trade. Usually that's hands down, that makes you the winner of the trade. You added potential star power, you added offensive explosion, and you finally made an aggressive move that some fans had been waiting for, right? And this could instantly become one of the most exciting teams in the West if this ends up working out. But then you look at Memphis and say they moved on from a very complicated situation. Over the last two off seasons, between moving on from Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Ja Morant, you have completely now started a rebuild, a fresh rebuild for your team. And that is really what Memphis is needed, right? Once you moved on from all those guys and you look around and slowly everybody's gone, Dillon Brooks as well, a player that was part of that core that moved on, you now start having just a more clear way to build. You got Cedric Howard in the building, right? You got Zach Edey in the building. You just drafted Cam Boozer, who is one of the most high floor players in that, the highest floor player in that draft, right? So you've made some moves. You also brought in Kareem Lopez as well in that draft. So you made some very smart moves in this draft to start setting yourself down the path of true rebuilding and stability. And for that could end up being the ultimate win in this, is that they just don't have to deal with that. But like I said, if Ja ends up shining and getting back to his old self in Portland, this deal is going to look like a lopsided deal. But Portland, they got exactly what they wanted to. So let me know you guys' thoughts on all this down below. Who do you have winning this trade? What do you think Portland does next? What do you think Memphis does next? Namely with Jerami Grant. Do you think they move on from him? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream. You can follow us at Full Court YT on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything basketball and NBA related. And I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Break Media.